I first saw her as a missing person. Then when I looked a little deeper, I saw that it was a couple of missing person reports out from previous months. That kind of compelled me. 13 years old, African-American female in our community missing. It really intrigued me because of that I'm the face of her mother, and that could have been my child.
Brutal, heinous, vicious, gruesome, monstrous, and disturbing. These are the words I use to describe this murder investigation.
13-year-old Kanaya Baker is being mourned after police say she was brutally murdered by 2 teenage girls. Kanaya's body was found in a vacant home in Columbia, South Carolina, after a small fire was reported. After an investigation, police say Kanaya was bludgeoned, stabbed, and burned to death. Kanaya's injuries were so severe that Richland County Coroner Nita Rutherford said that they were unable to identify her visually.
Due to severe trauma to her head, face, and body, visual identification just was not possible.
Police say Kanaya was a runaway who had been reported missing in the weeks leading up to her death. The teen suspects are also runaways. This tragedy has sparked conversation about the community's responsibility in protecting vulnerable youth.
Continuing coverage this Thursday night, in the wake of the brutal death of 13-year-old Kanaya Baker, members of law enforcement continuing to speak out about the epidemic of teen violence.
Now, a video from the Richland County Coroner has gone viral online with hundreds of thousands of views as she speaks from the heart directly to parents and teens.
Our Chris English has more on why her message is really resonating with so many people here.
You may be running away with somebody who has undiagnosed mental illness with violent homicidal tendencies. You don't know enough to know what the hell you don't know.
Nita Rutherford didn't pull any punches while addressing teens during a live video stream that has now gone viral. The Richland County Coroner had just come from a press conference about the gruesome discovery of 13-year-old Kanaya Baker and felt the need to speak out about teen violence.
Kanaya Baker being labeled as a runaway really got to me because it doesn't matter that she was a runaway. What matters is that she was murdered. What matters is that this is a homicide. And what matters is that 2 other teenagers are being charged with a crime against her.
Rutherford had strong words when addressing teens about the dangers of running away, including getting caught up with sex traffickers.
There is nothing legal about a grown man wanting to sleep with you and you're a child. He's a pedophile.
Rutherford says trafficking isn't just found in large cities, it's happening here.
There's lots of sex trafficking that has happened here in Columbia. I've seen the end result of that. I've had teens come up to me at schools where I do motivational talks and tell me about situations that they've had. And then some of these girls are afraid to go home again just because of the shame and the embarrassment.
The coroner also had advice on how parents can keep their kids safe.
Parents, I'm addressing you right here and right now. Come on in. Be nosy. Know who their friends are. Know who they're talking to. You pay the cell phone bill, snoop. I'm asking you to be so nosy that it is almost annoying and show them the story of Kanaya Baker.
Because of its honest, straightforward message, the original video has been played more than 400,000 times. Rutherford says people from across the country have reached out to her, voicing their support and appreciation.
The response to the video is incredible because what it shows me is that we have a community that cares. We have a community that wants to see change. To see the number of young people who have said to me, my mom or my dad or my aunt sent this video to me, and what you're saying changes my perspective.
Welcome back to Crime Time Podcast, and unfortunately we have some horrible updates in this very sad, disturbing case, the death of 13-year-old Kanaya Baker. You saw multiple clips there. One was someone from within the community reacting to this, saying, my age, my demographic, where I'm from, etc. Like that could have been my child. We heard the coroner speaking out, which I want to speak on all these clips, but specifically that clip in depth. And we heard the police speaking out, calling it just brutal, heinous, violent. There's a debate going on right now as, again, Kaniah Baker was 13 years old. She's found deceased, was missing, and the two individuals in custody charged with her death were also minors as well, a little older than Kaniah. I believe they were 15 and 16, as it says here. One of the suspects, described as a 16-year-old, was reported missing on January 12th and has a history of disorderly conduct, malicious injury, throwing bodily fluids. That's very disgusting. And the other one arrested, I believe, was 15. It says she was wanted by the Department of Juvenile Justice due to cutting off her ankle monitor. That was the first individual we're speaking about that was known to be violent, running away, disorderly conduct, and throwing bodily fluids. I'm guessing that happened in some kind of juvenile facility, whether a detention center, group home, or a mental facility, one of those. That would be my guess. The second teen arrested was a 15-year-old girl. Both suspects have been classified as frequent runaways and high school dropouts. Officials are pushing to charge the teenagers as adults. Speaking to USA Today, University of South Carolina criminology and criminal justice professor Hayden Smith said the case indicates there was a presence of underlying trauma for all three of these girls involved. He said rising youth violence is tied to children's environments and social detriments of health, such as access to stable housing and education. And I say that they should be charged as adults. Comment and let me know if you agree or not. I mean, we're talking about some pretty horrific stuff here. I get it. They're saying all three of these juveniles, R.I.P. Kaniah, and her two killers, alleged killers, we have to say at this point, right? Although the evidence is extremely overwhelming, as she was found in this house that was found to be on fire and her body was found inside. You heard the coroner and the police, right? They could barely identify this girl. She was bludgeoned, stabbed, lit on fire. And personally, I'm just going to say, based on just how horrific and brutal this crime was, they have to be charged as adults, in my opinion. Again, everyone join the discussion, the debate in the comments. I basically have a saying like, hey, let's agree to disagree if necessary. You know what I mean? I ain't really one to argue. That's just my opinion. I feel they should be charged as adults. But there is an epidemic going on, no question, in this country, man. And what I'm speaking of, and you heard the coroner speaking about it, right? And I appreciate that she took the time to make this video, right? It's all fluffed up right now, okay? It depends on what state you're in, okay? Different states have different juvenile systems, okay? Some states have systems in place where, if a child is just getting in trouble, not listening to the parents, you know what I mean? They can be put into a non-secure facility, more or less, something to teach them a lesson. You know what I'm saying? Teach them that they just can't run rampant and do whatever they want and tell their parents to go F themselves or whatever, because that's always happened here or there. But there's just this epidemic nowadays where a lot of kids, tell each other, hey, F your parents, you don't got to listen to them. You know what I mean? There's nothing they can do. And then they get together with other badass kids and get into badass-ish. And there's this horrific element that's at an all-time high that you heard the coroner speaking of trafficking. You know what I'm saying? Sick creeps out there who, find their way to be around children, grown individuals, you know what I'm saying, taking advantage of them in sick, perverted, disgusting, disturbing ways, and trafficking them across state lines, sometimes to, pimp them. It's so disgusting to even say those words, right? Or to just traffic them across state lines. to evade the authorities where they're at. You know what I mean? And you would think that this would be real easy for these individuals to get caught, but based on what agencies get involved, what state it is, it's harder than you may think. And a lot of these sick creeps, opportunistic sacks of shit out there know this. They know the loopholes and know how to protect themselves legally. It's scary as fuck. Be careful, parents. You know what I mean? Because these creeps are out there, and they know that there are these troubled youth out there, and they opportunistically find them on social media, in life. It's terrifying. It's absolutely disgusting, disturbing, and it really is an epidemic. And Homeland Security gets involved in these cases, but I know someone personally, you know what I'm saying, who had a child that was targeted by some creep offline, and Homeland Security got involved. They even took a hard drive, you know what I mean, that had proof of correspondence between these individuals, and actually caught the underage child with the creep. And because the child wouldn't testify or anything like that, there was like nothing Homeland Security could do. You know what I mean? Never mind the fact that the creep trafficked them across state lines and played a part in it. It's absolutely disgusting and disturbing. So parents, please be careful out there. You know what I'm saying? If you got a kid that's getting out of control, do whatever you can to get them in line. You know what I mean? Because it truly is an epidemic once again. And like I said, depending on what state it is, like some states have situations in place, you know, to get kids in line, just like I said, even if they haven't committed a crime. Like, hey, you just can't skip school and go tell your parents to F themselves. You're going to have to go sit in this detention center for 6 months, and maybe you learn your lesson. And sometimes that doesn't help. Sometimes it does. You know, the youth has to see the error of their ways, and they have to want to change. But in a lot of instances, there is underlying issues and stuff like that. And let's be honest too, there's a lot of situations where there is just scumbag sack-ish parents who don't care about their kids. You know what I mean? And those individuals need to be put in jail, and those kids need to be taken up out of their custody. No question, you know. And with this case, I'm not exactly sure of the background of all these youth, you know what I mean, as obviously they are youth, you know, so a lot of this stuff is confidential, as it should be, you know what I mean. But we are hearing some things come out in the news, as in this instance, you know, Kanaya Baker was missing. She was with these two other missing youth, you know what I mean. And there's a very well chance they could possibly have already known each other from the system, right? Because that's something else that happens at a lot of these places, is there's a lot of kids that, you know, go to different mental facilities and stuff like that, and they link up with other kids and exchange social medias and, you know, pick up bad behaviors from each other and stuff like that. And, you know, they just get outside and link up and, you know, carry on a toxic friendship that destroys both of their lives and well-beings even more than it already is. You know what I'm saying? And then again, as you heard, the coroner speaking about the whole trafficking element, the weirdos that are out there and that are lurking on social media. It really is scary as fuck. I'm not exactly sure if there is indeed an element of that in this case, or she was just speaking in general, you know, kind of trying to put a PSA out there to the parents, you know what I'm saying? But this is the reality of what happens out there in the streets, you know what I'm saying? A lot of us as adults, we know this, right? We may have even been problematic in our youth, you know what I'm saying? Jump in the comments, everyone, share your thoughts, you know, your experience if you'd like, you know what I mean? Subscribe to the channel. Once again, this is Crime Time Podcast, where we talk about true crime and crime news and things of that nature, and it's all about hearing from different people out there. So subscribe, join the discussion. But it's fucking scary, you know what I'm saying? Some states don't have anything, you know, they don't really have any systems at place. Kids just run around breaking the law, breaking rules, and you know, they feel invincible, you know what I'm saying? It's a very tricky time in one's life, your adolescence. I'm sure a lot of individuals, you remember it from your own time coming up, from when you were 12, 13 years old until the time you were 18. You know what I'm saying? Hell, I didn't even really have my head screwed on all the way straight till I was like 21, 22. I mean, at 18, 19 years old, I knew what the fuck I was doing and all that, but I'm just saying I wasn't like on point, you know. And that's what's scary, is a lot of these kids out here, they think that they're grown, and of course they're not, and that's nothing new, but it's just so wild nowadays with the epidemic levels that kids are running around linking up and getting into bad ish out here, and a lot of places just don't really have any help for the parents, you know what I'm saying, that want it and that need it, you know. There's so many instances where parents have tried numerous times to get help only to be shunned, you know what I'm saying. And God forbid something horrific like this happens. It's just heartbreaking, you know what I mean. It's wild-ish, you know what I'm saying. And just seeing this hit the news, I just wanted to tap in on here and speak with everyone and get everyone's thoughts about this, you know. Again, Kaniah Baker was missing on the 12th or 13th or something like that, and here we are, a couple weeks later, she's found brutally murdered like this. Again, just off top, my reaction to this is that these youths should be charged as adults for these horrific crimes, you know. Is there more at play here where there are others involved? We'll have to wait and see what comes out. I'm definitely going to be following this case. Again, this is just so heartbreaking, but subscribe, stay tuned, and share your thoughts. And everyone, do whatever you got to do to keep your family safe, you know what I'm saying, your loved ones, your kids, your cousins, nieces, nephews, families. Be there for each other, you know what I'm saying. People need support out here. It's some wild ish going on, you know what I mean. Obviously, we know we live in this blogosphere era, you know what I mean, where the internet is everywhere. The bad guys are on the internet. You know, I really feel like the feds and stuff like that need to step their game up more and lock these weirdos up out here that are lurking around. I mean, there's just so much more that can be done, and it's truly sickening. I mean, how many of these channels are there out there that we see, you know what I mean, where there's all these weirdos on all these apps? And it's like, if you ever have spoke to someone who does that, and I'm talking about a lot of these channels are real, that ish ain't made up, you know what I mean. And this platform actually deads off and knocks down a lot of those videos, you know what I'm saying, because I don't think they like people to really know the truth. But it's dangerous out here. Hell, y'all remember, right, there was a big successful YouTuber who was one of those sick fucking creeps, you know what I mean, and he got exposed and then tried to pop back up numerous times in the blogosphere. Thank God that he's consistently been shut down. Someone needs to throw his ass up in jail, you know what I mean, because as I always say, these creeps are demons, you know what I mean. It's good versus evil out here. It's spiritual warfare. It's wild times we're living in, you know what I mean. Tradition and family structure and stuff like that, you know, there's a lot of stuff out here in this blogosphere era poisoning the youth's mind, making them feel that family and following rules and stuff like that and having structure is lame or something like that, you know what I mean. Like, it truly is spiritual warfare out here. So everyone, be careful. Let's talk about this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe. Again, stay tuned for updates. We're gonna follow this case more closely, but I truly would like to know everyone's thoughts. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace. Be safe, and God bless y'all. Beware these demons out here.